Hey guys, welcome back. My name's David and welcome to hitaro.com. In this video, we're gonna go over some initial setups of your Jupyter Lab setup, and we're actually gonna go over some of the very basic Jupyter features um, and show you basically how to code in it. We're gonna go over Markdown. We're going to go over code cells. We're going to go over some keyboard shortcuts, and then we'll see what else we come up with along the way. So the first thing I want you to do is, normally on the first video, I showed you how to open Jupyter by going to your start menu, typing Anaconda, and then there was this Anaconda navigator. But I really don't like that. I prefer to have a shortcut on my desktop that takes me directly to Jupyter Lab. So let me show you how to set up that. So unfortunately, there isn't a shortcut available for us for some reason, or at least I didn't find it. So the way that I created is the following way. So you go to your start menu, so click the start button, type Jupyter, and then you'll see that basically just Jupyter Notebook shows up. And this is a shortcut. So we're going to go to open file location or right click on it and do open file location. And then it has all the shortcuts here that we got installed for us. And for some reason they didn't put Jupyter Lab. It doesn't make sense because Jupyter Notebook is already in the past. We're beyond that. But anyways, we're going to use this Jupyter Notebook shortcut to create our Jupyter Lab shortcut. So what I want you to do is just highlight it, copy that shortcut, go to your desktop, paste it, and then this is the shortcut. So if you double click on it, excuse me, it's gonna open up the Jupyter Notebook. This is how it used to look like. It's fine, but Jupyter Lab is just better. So let's quit. I guess I didn't need to quit, but whatever. Let's just close it. Alright, so it's gone. So the question is, how do I make this shortcut go to Jupyter Lab instead of the Jupyter Notebook? Well, pretty simple. Right click on it, go to properties, and I hope you can see it because I can't make this bigger, but if you scroll all the way to the right of your target, which is basically the shortcut or the command that you're issuing to open up Jupyter Notebook, you could go right here where it says Jupyter Notebook dash script.py right at the end next to user profile, and just replace the word notebook. So I'm gonna highlight it here with lab. So instead of Jupyter Notebook, it's gonna open up Jupyter Lab. Apply, hit OK, and I guess we could rename this. So instead of Jupyter Notebook, let's go Jupyter Lab. And now when we double click on it, it's gonna open up your browser, and then bam, where are we? We're in Jupyter Lab. So congratulations, just created an easy, quick shortcut on your desktop. All right, so let's go back to this test, and all right, so in case this confuses you, select kernel. So Jupyter Lab not only works with Python, but it works with other languages. There's R, and there's the Julia one they talk about, and there's other ones. And you can mix and match them, and you can have multiple versions of Python. So sometimes, or I guess most of the time, when you open up a notebook, it's gonna be like, hey, what do you run? What do you want to run this on? So they call it the kernels, and we only have one option because that's all we've installed. But for some people, this is important. For me, it's not really important. I basically just do everything in Python, and I'm using Python 3. So there's Python 3. So hit select, all good. Let me move this to the right. Give me a second. Alright, you see this here, Python 3, this is the kernel. You click on it and you can change it. case that's something that's important for you. Over here, let me see, let me move it again. Sorry about that, guys. Let me just make sure you can see what I'm seeing. Basically, okay, so this little circle here to the right is important because it tells you if your code's running or not. If it's that color white, it's idle, it's not doing anything. But you'll see it moves as we mess with the cells here. So a couple of things we could do is you could run code. So you could just do variables, hello, and then actually the hello. Actually put let's not put hello there. Let's put variable sa, call it hello, and then if you hit enter, it doesn't execute the code. It just goes to the next line. So you go b equals world. Let's make this capital. And then if you actually want to run this, you could click the little plus button, which says run selected cells. But the way everybody does it is in their keyboard, they press shift enter. Not at the same time, just run right after the other. So you hit shift enter and it actually runs the code. So now you got two variables, hello world. If you want to make sure, if you want to see them, you press, for example, A, shift enter, hello. You can go back here and change it and do B and the other one will show up, world. If you want to run the cell, but you don't want your cursor to go to the next one, you press Control Enter, which is right below the Enter key. I guess right below the Shift key. And here, I'll change it to A and I'll press it and you'll see that my cursor stays there. Control Enter. Oh, it doesn't work anymore. Oh, okay, sorry guys. Okay, so it does work. It didn't work for me because here I'll do it with the other one. I'll put B here, Control Enter. So it doesn't work with my right side control button because I'm in VirtualBox and that control button does something. So it doesn't work for me because I'm on VirtualBox, but it will work for you. It does work for me. As I showed you here, I change it to A, Control Enter, but I have to use the other control, which is not very convenient. So anyways, that's how you run cells. Pretty basic, pretty easy. You could go back to earlier cells and change them. So I'll change this to C, I'll run it, and now C is world. So you could go back and make edits. Some people find that confusing, but not very confusing. And then you don't have to use the print button unless if it's the last cell you're running. So since this is the only cells we're running, for example, A plus B, it's just gonna print it. If you hit print, of course it's gonna work. If you use print button, right? Print, the print function. I guess we could do a space between them, right? Plus. Alright, hello world. If you got stuff under it, like C equals test, and you run it, it's gonna work. But say you had this going. See, if you had this going, the A plus space plus B didn't do anything. So print without using the print variable function, it only works if it's the last line in your cell block. These are all cell block, code blocks. And how do you know they're code blocks? Because it's a code block by default, but up here you see where it says code? That signifies what kind of cell it is. You could change it to Markdown or raw by clicking on it. I never use raw. I think raw is, I forgot what raw is for. I really never use it, so not sure exactly what to use it, but I only use code and Markdown. So let me show you Markdown and so you can see what the difference is. So to go to Markdown mode, you can actually change it up here, but I never do that. I press escape, and when you're in escape, you're like on command mode in the browser, and then you press M, and then I press enter to get back into the cell, because right now my cursor is nowhere. Enter. So you'll see that this cell looks a little different, and this changed to Markdown. So over here we use Markdown. So for example, this is a heading. Whoops, I meant to use pound. So if I hit Shift Enter, you'll see that it's a heading now. I'm writing text now, and if you go down, bullet. Oops. So I'm gonna hit star bullet 1, star bullet 2. So now you got bullets going. You could also, let me see if I can remember how to do this. This is a link, http .msn.com. I think this is how it works. This is a link. Oh, did I misspell it? I guess I did. Here, let me fix that. This is a link. Shift Enter. So you click on this, and now you got msn.com. So you could put links here. You could put bullets. You could put headings. This heading could be different sizes. So here, let me put like 3. I think you do up to 6. 2, 3. So as you can see, you can have different sizes. You can actually write HTML here. So if you know a little HTML, you could also write HTML. Which is nice. We used to be able to write Bootstrap code here, if anybody's familiar with that front-end framework, which is really nice. I think since they upgraded to Jupyter Lab, you can't do Bootstrap anymore. But I'm gonna have to make a video on what else we can do on that end. But anyways, this is Markdown. Okay, so another thing I guess I could show you is another one that I use is this. This is used, I don't know, for I don't know, styling text. So as you can see, it like added like, I don't know, like some sort of comment, or I don't know how you call that, but it just gives you different styles. You can bold text too. So if you go one, I usually use the one that's 3. I think it bolds it and it does italics. And I think if we just do, let me bullet. Let's do another one on here. Is a test. Oops, I typed really bad. This is a test. Here, test 1, 2. I think if I do 2, it's just bold. See, test is bold right here, and styling is bold and italics. So, anyways, if you want to figure out what else you can do, maybe just Google Markdown 101. Markdown 101. And so you can do code blocks. You can do a lot of things with Markdown. Now the version of Markdown that we use for Jupyter Lab, I don't remember what it is. I kind of stick with basic stuff like this. Not much craziness I do. I used to do a lot of crazy stuff with Bootstrap, but nowadays it's mostly just headings and bold text, and maybe this little pretty thing here, bullets and links. This is kind of the basics what I do. So you could embed paragraphs before you do your coding, is how you kind of do it. All right, so the next thing I want to go over is a shortcut that I use a lot is you could add cells above and below the current cells you're in. So right now we're coding, let's say here, and I want to create a cell between these two. So what's the way you do it is you hit escape to go up to command mode. I think they still call it command mode. And then you press A to do to add a new cell above. So I'm gonna press it now. Now I'm in there. There's a new cell. And if I want to get into it and start typing instantly, I hit enter, and then I can start typing here. If I want to delete the cell that I'm currently in, I just don't need it anymore. I'm gonna hit escape, and then I'm gonna hit DD real fast, DD, and it deletes the cell. If I want to make create a cell under this, so between this markdown cell and this text cell, I'm gonna hit escape, and then I'm gonna hit B. Remember, A we use to make one above, but B is to make a new cell below. Bam. And if I wanna be into it, press enter, and I can just start typing my code. And I'm like, oh no, this was actually I want to do more markdown. I hit escape, and then I press M, and now I'm in markdown mode. And as you can tell, this is a markdown. This is another markdown. Another cool neat features that I noticed they added is you can move cells just with your mouse. So right here over code line 16, I could literally move this guy. So you kind of move it. Sometimes it's not convenient because you got big blocks and it's just not convenient, but you can do it there. Another cool thing is if we go all the way over here, you see this little command palette. When you click on it, you're gonna see that there are a bunch of keyboard shortcuts, and you can do a lot here. And I think you could change some of these keyboard shortcuts, but there's a lot going on right here. So um, let me see if there's some that I did for you that's here. Here we go. DD delete cells. Um, A insert above. B insert below. So oh, look, apparently you can merge cells. Shift M. Let's see if that works. I've never done that actually. Let me move this guy down here. Um, says Shift M. Oh, look at that. They merged. Look at that. I just hit Shift M and it merged. I didn't know how I decided to merge these two, but it did it. So anyways, there's a bunch of stuff here that I don't even know about or I just don't use. But just just the basics I'm going over and it works. Alright, another basics is just the interface here. Obviously here on the left hand side where it says the file browser is where you're going to save all your notebooks. Over here is the running terminal and kernels. Every time you open one, you're kind of running like an instance of Python. So you can shut it down here. I tend to just leave a bunch of them open, but maybe sometimes if you want to clean some of these open connections, you can just hit shutdown over here. And once you hit shutdown, they're kind of no longer working. So you can't really run code. Like if you try to run it again, like okay, so see up here, it has no kernel. So if you try to run something, it's not gonna work. You're gonna have to attach it to a kernel. You're gonna have to go back here, say, hey, I'm doing Python, and then run it. And then now you're back in business. All right, what else can I show you that's important? That's not important really. That's basically it. The other thing is, where is it? basically do like this. You go right click, hit a new view for notebook, and it's basically the same notebook, but you could view it side by side, or you could have two notebooks open. So if you have a big screen, this is kind of useful. Um, that's basically it. I don't think there's anything else that's kind of useful for the moment. There was something else that I was gonna show you. Let me see if I can remember. No, that's kind of it. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. There's a file menu up here. Let's see if there's anything useful. You can export the notebook here. There's more options to manipulate the cells, cut cells, copy cells, move cells up, move cells down. Nothing exciting. Um, oh, for running here, I'll show you one more thing. So sometimes when you want to run the notebook, sometimes you want to kind of start from fresh and restart the notebook and just run it again. So here's an example here. So you want to get rid of the output and just start from scratch. Usually what I do is I go all the way to the top of the notebook, I go to kernel, and I say restart kernel and run all cells. So it kind of just starts a fresh kernel for you, just like if you never run any code. You get rid of all the output and you rerun it from scratch. And I do this usually when I'm doing like a tutorial and my numbers here, I keep, playing with stuff. So the numbers are not lining up. There's like number 4, line number 4 and 2, and I just don't, I want it to be nice and sequential. So after I get it all tidy, and I'll click on the first cell up here. I usually go kernel and I'll say restart and run all. And then once it runs it all, you'll see that it's now in sequential order and it's nice and clean. So anyways, that's basically it. To close down this, I usually just hit X, but if you want, you could go to this little command prompt, hit Control C, and it shuts it down, and basically all this browser you could close and you'll be good. And that's it. So I hope you learned something. You learned how to create a shortcut. You learned a little bit about Jupyter Lab. There's probably a bunch of YouTube videos that you could supplement this with, but this is just the basics to get started and get coding. And that's about it. Thank you guys.